Well, this Tuesday, the House is set to vote on the next Speaker of the House, with Republicans taking control with a pretty slim majority. The frontrunner is obviously Kevin McCarthy. It's not clear if he yet has the votes to win. Joining us now is Republican strategist Quill Robinson and former New York State Senator David Carlucci. Quill, he's got about 4 votes to spare. It's a very narrow path. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, Republicans didn't see the red wave that they were hoping for in November, and so that means it's a lot more difficult path to the Speaker's chair for Leader McCarthy. Now, they're going to need to do more than just throw bombs at President Biden in this next Congress. They're going to need to have a clear message and a good record as they're going into 2024. I think Kevin McCarthy is the one who is the best position to do that, and he's certainly going to have a harder path, but I think we'll still see Kevin McCarthy become Speaker McCarthy.
David, one of his supporters, Rep. Andy Biggs, says he's the only guy for the job because he's the only one who can cut deals with Democrats. Take a listen.
I don't think so. I do not think so. And here's why. He's got a body of work. You go back to 17 and 18. Look at why we had Democrats voting for the Republican budgets, because the Republicans didn't want those budgets, but the floor leader, Mr. McCarthy, cut those deals with the Democrats.
Does it count for or against him? I don't know.
Well, McCarthy's got a big problem. It's obvious. With only 4 votes to spare, with Biggs and others saying they won't vote for McCarthy. In fact, they'll vote for someone else. He's got a lot of maneuvering that he has to do before the vote is taken next Tuesday. And many are saying this might go to a second, maybe a third ballot, the first time or only the second time since the Civil War. So we've got unprecedented maneuvering that we're going to see. And we already hear concessions coming from McCarthy talking about making it easier to remove him as Speaker. But at the end of the day, what I'm really worried about is the tail wagging the dog. And this will be a perfect scenario for that, where we have the extremes that will really strip down McCarthy and his ability to lead and dictate policies that we wouldn't otherwise see. So we've got a major problem on our hands for the Republicans, but really for the country as a whole.
Quill, new Fox polls out this week showed us that the number 2 priority for the nation right now, after the economy, is the border, is the broken immigration system. Is there any chance the new Congress is going to take it up?
Look, we saw in November nearly 240,000 people come across the border illegally. This was the highest rate of legal immigration in November ever. It's really insane that this has become such a partisan issue, and I think that it reflects very poorly on President Biden and the Democrats that under unified government, they weren't able to get a handle on this issue. I think the vast majority of Americans want the government to put a stop to illegal immigration in a way that is compassionate and takes care of the people who are trying to immigrate here. But Democrats have failed to deliver that. So I do think with a Republican majority in the House, with divided government, that perhaps that'll apply more pressure to the Biden administration and force them to finally act on this issue that they've really neglected.
The Biden administration claims they did just act when they passed this nearly $2 trillion omnibus bill. Take a listen to Republican Beth Dine. She says Democrats, David, got their priorities all kinds of mixed up. Listen.
They just passed the largest omnibus in our nation's history, $1.7 trillion. $800 million of it went down to Customs and Border Protection, but not to protect or to secure our borders, but to do things like pay for tents, pay for barbers, pay for transportation of these folks through our country.
Sort of the antithesis wish list of the wish list for border security.
Well, President Biden is trying to send resources to the border because we have a major problem on our hands. With Title 42 still in place, what that says is that everyone trying to cross the border and file for asylum status because they're fleeing their home country, they're automatically sent back. We have major problems and humanitarian problems on the border. And what has to get done is Congress and the president have to work together. Unfortunately, what we've seen is the GOP has hardened their stance over the past year where they're refusing to take up immigration policy in Congress. And that's the real problem here. We talk about securing the border. We can do both. We can secure the border and we can fix our broken immigration policy. It's broken. And I think we all have to come to that realization that if people are trying to get here into this country, we need to have a pathway for them. When there's no pathway, that means they take major risks, they jeopardize their lives and those that are trying to patrol the border, and it helps no one. It makes the situation worse. That's why we see people trying to cross the border multiple times. And some of those numbers are really inflated because we're talking about the same people just trying to get over the border multiple times.
David, Quill, we got to leave it there, but Happy New Year to both of you. Thanks for taking time with me.
Happy New Year.
Alicia?